All right, well, let's stay with this story because one former DA member, Bongani Baloyi, has exposed his former party of practicing its own version of cadre deployment. In a statement on the platform X, Baloyi is saying during his tenure as Midvaal mayor, the city could not conclude the appointment of senior staff without the approval of the federal executive of the DA. Baloyi further challenging the DA to release the minutes of the FedEx to prove his claims. Well, he's here in studio to tell us why he has decided to challenge his former party in this way. Mr. Baloyi, good evening to you. Yes,
good evening.
You're no longer part of the Democratic Alliance,
yes.
But we're going to have a conversation today about what you say you observed within the DA when it came to recruiting people into the public service. So you were a mayor in Midvaal, that's a municipality here in Gauteng. You claim to have first-hand information about the DA practicing its own version of cadre deployment. What exactly did you say?
Well, good evening. Firstly, I think it's also important to put on record that I now lead a political party called Xiluva. I don't want to confuse the South African community and they forget that I'm busy with a very important project that's growing throughout South Africa.
Right.
So what I described in the platform of X is not something that I observed, it's something I experienced. So whenever there was a vacancy in the position of a senior manager in the municipality, this would be a vacancy of a municipal manager, the chief financial officer, and other heads of department. The standard procedure in the Democratic Alliance was to start with the normal internal HR process in the municipality, and before conclusion, after scoring from the interview, I would then have to write to the leader of the party in the province, Mr. John Moody, and request him on the behalf of the municipality to represent and table the matter at FedEx. There was two separate processes that were unfolding. One for local municipality mayors and district mayors, and a separate process for metro mayors. Metro mayors were co-opted onto FedEx, and therefore they could represent those issues directly themselves, while the district mayors and local municipal mayors had to go through their provincial leaders.
So, just so we take the viewers along, the appointment of a municipal manager, for example, those are technical skills. And you have to appoint people with the right kind of qualifications. Now, when you say that these appointments had to get approval from the FedEx, the federal executive of the DA, what did that mean for those applicants? Did you not get the job if you were not a member of the DA? Because I think that's where we need to get to the bottom of, because within the ANC, their standpoint is that we deploy in government. Yes, these are ANC cadres, but they are professionals at the same time, and they're going to carry the agenda of transformation in government. In this instance, as I've explained, these are people with technical skills. Did they have to be DA members?
Well, I don't know, because I was never part of FedEx. You're raising a very important question, because the legislation that governs municipalities is clear about the criteria and the process that the executive has to follow, and how you present a report to the municipal council on the appointment, the finalization and confirmation of the appointment of senior heads of the municipality. So now, the moment it goes external and you're part of that meeting, you don't know what the consideration is, because there's no true test of the legislation, because they're not empowered by any piece of legislation to review, to be part of. And in the instance in Tshwane, because Midvaal never got support in this case, but in Tshwane there was when in 2016, when they started the process of appointing a city manager, there was an acting city manager there, Ms. Lindiwe Kwele, who applied for the position. They went through a normal human resource process, and she was the preferred candidate, scoring at the top. The council was and the executive was comfortable to getting her to be appointed. However, the federal executive changed it, which then meant you don't know what test was used to say this is not the suitable qualified individual. You don't know the consideration. For all we know, it could well have been an Oppenheimer saying, I don't like this. So if the party at that level changes a decision which in a process governed by the municipal legislation prescribes, what consideration? All of us can speculate. So I'm drawing a live case that really happened. As a consequence, the city of Tshwane had to embark on another process of calling for candidates. So there's a case, and unfortunately I can't answer because I wasn't there. So it's all open for speculation for all of us.
Some people are going to say, okay, but you're willing to come on national television and say that the DA did practice its own version of cadre deployment. However, because you never sat in FedEx, how can you say with a straight face that the DA practiced cadre deployment? Perhaps let's focus the attention on Midvaal, which you were part of, I think, 2013 to 2021.
Correct.
The people that were employed there as CFOs, and you can name the structure there, again, stressing the point about technical skills, were these people that you would then, on occasion, see at functions of the DA, rallies of the DA, to prove that indeed these were people that not only are employed by Midvaal for their technical abilities, but they also double up as members of the DA, because that's where we're trying to get at.
Look, I cannot say what they did in their own personal space, but what I can tell you is that there's a rich body of literature that one consulted to understand governance in municipalities. And most importantly, how you create the methodology that created the foundation and later the success of Midvaal, because of the clarification of where do you stop the line between political staff and administrative staff and what their roles are, because these two things are very different. So I never found myself in that situation, and that's why Midvaal today is a standing and shining example of good governance through its substantive output. But you see, the part where you say many people can say, now that I've left, I'm saying all these things, the simple reality about the truth is that it's never escorted by convenience. There's never a good time to say, okay, now come, let's tell. When it happens, it happens. And by the way, I've been very consistent on this matter on various platforms exposing this double standard of the DA. So my point is that don't lie. If we see the thing that's missing in our politics currently is honesty.
Truth-telling.
Truth-telling.
Sure.
We don't want to tell the South African public the truth. So we're going to sugarcoat the truth to present ourselves as messiahs. Meanwhile, we are not that. I think this is a beautiful opportunity for the Democratic Alliance to be honest with South Africans and equally apologize for their role.
The DA has argued in the past that they don't practice cadre deployment. If anything, they actually want to reverse it. How? Through what they say is a public administration policy whose aim is to depoliticize and professionalize the public service. Do you know about this policy of the DA?
I left the DA some time ago. And since leaving the DA, I've been very preoccupied with the outlook and the policies of Xiluva, and grappling with our contemporary problems as a country, and secondly, how we respond. And as Xiluva, I can confidently speak and say we'll be able to deliver our manifesto and our alternative at the end of March. Unfortunately, because of the elections which will be proclaimed, we're able as a new party with limited resources to maximize the little we have at the right times. So I cannot speak for the Democratic Alliance, whatever they say. I don't recognize them these days even. So for us, my main concern is Xiluva.
Well, I see exactly what you are doing there, campaigning in a way. In fact, you're now dragging me into another space, which I will go to. But before we get there, if the DA comes out and says, Mr. Baloyi is vengeful, there's nothing to prove, firstly, that you have brought here as some way of evidence to say this is indeed what the DA has been doing. And they probably will say, we're not going to share our documents because no one has gone to court to say we are also practicing cadre deployment. What happens in that instance when they say, sorry, we won't accede to your demand that we expose the FedEx records.
You see, the law is a beautiful thing. It also creates legal precedents. And the same law that they used to pursue the ANC and get their records is the same precedents we will follow. So here...
Are you saying that you're willing to go to court to force the DA
they must respond.
to expose publicly
they must respond whether I am lying or not. They've got an option to come out, be very clear and honest with South Africans. If they don't do that, there is recourse. And I'm happy because I'm going to follow their own precedents that they've set for all of us.
So say it in words. Don't let it be my words.
Yeah.
Are you willing to go to court to force the DA to table their FedEx documents?
Absolutely, yes.
They're going to possibly come out. I mean, you know the period we're in. It's politics and election time. Mud is going to be thrown. Someone might come out and say, are you paid by the ANC to do what they should be doing, which is to try and expose the DA for hypocrisy, as you put it in your tweet? Are you taking monies from the ANC?
You know, I am really surprised by that logic. And that logic comes from when one deals with the DA. Not too long ago, we were dealing sharply with Panyaza Lusufi, with his military militia of these young persons who go for 3 months training, then be given a nopgiri and a pepper spray and an X5 and X3 and a BMW 3 Series. No one ever accused me of exposing the ANC because I'm benefiting from the Democratic Alliance. But in this case, because we're exposing and holding the Democratic Alliance to the same standard they would do to anybody else, then there's an aspersion. The aspersion's intent would be to draw away attention from the substance of the matter. So at the end of the day, it's a ludicrous accusation which has no bearing at all, which is complete rubbish and nonsense. Because at the end of the day, they must respond to the substance. They can cast aspersions as much as they want, but the substance is there and looking at them straight in the face. And we are going to hold them to account like anybody else, you see. And as I mentioned earlier on, the truth is not escorted by convenience. Now is the time, and we must test it.
You're a fairly new party, and you're now saying, I think for the very first time, at least you didn't say it in the tweet, you're saying that you're willing to take the DA to court so that they are exposed for hypocrisy. Do you have money to do that? I don't remember seeing Xiluva saying that we received X amount, as is required in this country, in the way of donations. Do you have money, basically, to...
Are there no pro bonos? we have helped out a lot of people, Cole. Even in Tshwane, you're doing an insert on Tshwane now, and we're helping a lot of people in relation to the water issue of Tshwane. And we always appeal to South Africans. You see, the one thing I can assure you of is that Xiluva does not have any money. The one thing we have in abundance is our time and energy. And you can't take that away from us. We are unemployed, we are on the streets, we are in the corners, so we are working the ground ruthlessly. And we are going to appeal to South Africans, and there are many who are listening now who want to assist us, in fact, to test this president of the Democratic Alliance and take them to court. And we're going to use this opportunity to call on those who want to assist us. Those of you who are listening who want to assist us in this process, please get in touch with us because we want to test this legal precedent. And we really appreciate this opportunity for us to be able to engage South Africans directly and appeal for their help.
Crowdfunding is what is being asked for at this stage. Thank you very much for your time.